get you a mic. We'll start with Rob here on the left, and then we'll go to Jimmy.
Well, Cooper, it doesn't seem like that long ago when you were just Kane's little brother, and now 3 years later you win the underclassmen and the leader on this team. Does it feel like that, or does it feel like it's time for you to step into that role?
Yeah, right. I would say probably around like the end of the bowl game, going into winter workouts is kind of when I started to feel it. It's kind of always kind of hard being like a leader when you got an older brother in the room. So kind of him stepping away and me kind of trying to fulfill that role a little bit. Yeah.
Jimmy, and then we'll go to Kellyanne in the back.
Cooper, what are the key ingredients to being a good center?
Oh man, that's a tough one. It kind of depends on your body type and everything. But for me, I like to use my my intelligence and athleticism a lot. I think that's what wins me a lot of my battles. So I think if you can get as strong as you can get, and then kind of win with your mental game. If you're kind of a smaller guy like me, I think you'll be fine.
Hey Cooper, Coach Ellerby mentioned that you had a good offseason. What did you work on in the offseason heading into camp?
Biggest thing was just weight room, getting bigger and stronger every year. So kind of getting to be an upperclassman, you got to kind of take on a bigger role in things. So leadership too, but the main thing was just getting stronger and bigger.
Wes?
I guess, how good is it, knock on wood, how good does it feel to be healthy right now? And what's it been like trying to fight through some things the past couple of years and play some games that maybe you weren't capable of playing your best?
Yeah, right. I think the biggest thing for that is just, like I said, in the summer, you got to work really hard, build your body up, and then that'll kind of take care of it. I think it's been amazing these first few days, honestly. You feel really fresh and springy. You see how it kind of goes in camp. You kind of get camp legs. So just trying to stay where I'm at. I think it's been a really good time. It's been a great 3 days, 4 days, whatever it's been.
And
Cooper, I know it was his first day with Lindsay Dixon, his first day practicing with you all. Any takeaways from that?
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of focused on doing my job. Half the time, I don't even know who's behind me, whether it's Jabari or another guy or Hendon or Joe, whatever. I'm just kind of focused on doing me.
we'll go to Patrick, and then Eric.
Cooper, I think you recently you told us about him and had some teeth knocked out of the Alabama game. I know you played through some injuries last year. What were some of the things that you kind of had to play through and fight through and show your toughness on?
Yeah, my ankle was the biggest thing. I hurt that game 1 and the game against Florida. That was mainly the toughest thing. It's really hard to anchor. You're playing SEC defensive linemen. They're 330 pounds. So if you're on a bad ankle, it's kind of hard to do your job at a consistent rate. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing.
Coach was in here talking about your toughness, and centers have to be some of the toughest guys on the team. How do you kind of balance wanting to show your toughness and not want to come off the field with, hey, I can't do it like I normally would?
Yeah, you got to know your limits, but I was raised to never really quit. So I don't want to hurt the team, but I'm not trying to come out, if that makes sense. I was raised to finish what you start. So I'm not a guy that wants to quit at all. But if there's a time where you feel like you can't complete your job and you're hurting the team, that's when you kind of pull the plug on that.
Eric, and we'll go to Kellyanne, and then back to Jamie.
Yeah, Kel, and during that whole process, what did you maybe learn about yourself? I know it probably wasn't an easy season for you just because of all those injuries.
I was helped a lot by the thing on my shirt, Vol Leaders Academy. They kind of preached something that I kind of took with me, and it's about servant leadership, and they talked about something called leading from the bench. So whether you're the star player, the worst player in the middle, or hurt or whatever, it doesn't really matter where you are. You can always make a difference with where you're at. So I think kind of finding my role as being in the back more as a teacher and helping out my teammates that were able to play. I think it was cool to find my spot there.
Cooper, you mentioned Vol leaders and being involved in that. How was your trip to Rwanda, and what did you take away from that?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, really, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Like, no doubt one of the best experiences I've ever had. So you go through a 2-semester course with the Vol leaders in class, and then the capstone kind of like final thing that you do is you'll go across overseas, or wherever the destination may be abroad, and you kind of put to use your platform as an athlete and kind of be a servant leader and help the underprivileged communities there. Just seeing the way that they lived, honestly, the people that were in Africa, Rwanda was where we were at, and the way they just had a smile on their face about everything that they did. It was really beautiful to see people like live with their spirit and culture. It was awesome.
We'll do a few more with Jimmy, and then we'll finish with Eric and Wes.
Who did you learn more from about being an offensive lineman? Your dad, Kevin, or your brother?
I probably have to say the most part of my life earlier it was my dad, and then probably later it'll probably be Cade more. You know, the game's changed probably a little bit since 1994 and everything, so there's a there's a little bit of a gap in some of what he's preaching and what maybe Cade would tell me about what he's learned. So of course my dad thinks, you know, what he's saying is always 100% right, but sometimes you gotta kind of feel it out for the situation at hand. But I would say definitely the first most part of my life just learning football is my dad. He helped me a lot for sure.
Where do you feel like you've grown? Where do you feel like you're better this go around than maybe this time last year, and certainly as a freshman?
Definitely my strength. I feel comfortable now. Like when you're young, especially coming off injury, maybe. I mean, it's really hard as a young guy to be in the trenches, and especially in the core, like in the center guard area. There's a bunch of big dudes that are athletic, so it's hard to stop people. Just getting stronger in the weight room every year. I feel comfortable now putting hands on and just, you know, lifting dudes up.
Last question.
Cooper, if going back a couple years, did you have any idea when you got here, just with your size, how you had to play the game? I mean, I know that you probably thought about it a little bit, but being a guy who's not like 6'5", 330 or
Right.
anything, did you have any concept of how tough physically that was going to be?
I probably didn't know exactly how it was going to be, but I knew I was going to be fine. Like going back to his question over there about my dad instilled kind of a lot of values when it comes to football about how you play the game, and kind of the first thing he always told me was you got to be first off the ball and you got to play harder than everybody else. So I've played that way my whole life. I've always been that type of way. I've been a gritty guy that, you know, likes to get in the mix and everything. So just playing hard, and I've never really worried about it. I just let the rest figure itself out.
Thanks, Cooper. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Cooper.
Thank y'all.